of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service, and we must have to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Hello and welcome to the Affairs program that goes beyond the headlines, bringing reporters from the field to give first-hand accounts and in-depth analysis of unfolding issues, correspondence perspectives, ensuring balanced, credible, and comprehensive storytelling. I am Anieti Patrick. It's good to have you join us on this edition of the program. The Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, has warned against corruption, extortion, abuse of office, and unlawful detention, directing senior officers to uphold professionalism, accountability, and ethical conduct to restore public confidence in the Nigerian police force. The police chief gave the warning at a strategic meeting with the police managers in Abuja. Our security correspondent Kikelamo Okiri has the rest of the story.
Addressing senior police officers at the IGP conference and retreat for strategic police managers in Abuja, the police chief declared that integrity and discipline must remain the foundation of effective policing. He directed commissioners of police to deepen community policing by strengthening partnership with traditional rulers, religious leaders, youth and women groups, schools and community associations to boost intelligence gathering and crime prevention nationwide.
I expect every commissioner of police to lead with purpose, keep their command operationally ready, and hold officers to standard of professionalism, discipline, respect for the rights of every citizen. Corruption, extortion, abuse of authority, unlawful detention, and any other form of unethical conduct undermines everything we are trying to build, and they will not be tolerated at any level.
The Inspector General of Police also ordered all strategic commanders to ensure operational deployments are driven by credible intelligence and threat assessment, while developing security strategies to tailor the peculiar challenges of their respective commands. Highlighting recent operational successes, this to disclose that nationwide anti-crime operations since June 2029 resulted in the arrest of 1,198 suspects, including suspected kidnappers, armed robbers, murder suspects, cultists, and illegal firearms offenders. He added that security operatives rescued 166 kidnapped victims, recovered 166 firearms, 1,475 rounds of ammunition. On the recent rescue of adopted students and teachers in Oyo State, the police chief says patient intelligence gathering and coordinated interagency collaboration rather than a rushed operation ensured the safe rescue of all the victims.
Rescue incidents. The successful rescue of the abducted students and teachers in Oyo State deserve particular mention. It is a clear example of what can be achieved when Nigerian security agencies work together with a genuine sense of common purpose, which was what we all did together. The operation succeeded because of close collaboration between Nigerian Police Force, the Armed Forces of Nigeria, other security and intelligence agencies, and members of the public.
The Inspector General of Police therefore announced a 3-day leadership workshop for all 37 commissioners of police aimed at strengthening operational leadership, communication, strategic decision-making, and intelligence-led policing in line with ongoing police reforms. Kikelamo Okiri, Global TV News.
Also, the Central Bank of Nigeria has retained the monetary policy rate at 26.5%, sustaining its tight monetary policy at as it seeks to contain inflation and safeguard macroeconomic stability amid renewed global economic uncertainties. The Apex Bank Governor Olayemi Cardoso says the decision was reached at the end of the 306th Monetary Policy Committee meeting held in Abuja. Kikeloma Okere was there for Global TV.
While briefing journalists in Abuja, the Central Bank of Nigerian Governor Olayemi Cardoso says the MPC retained the benchmark interest rate at 26.5% for the second consecutive meetings, following a 50 basis point reduction in February. The committee also adjusted the asymmetric corridor around the MPR to plus 50 and minus 450 basis points to encourage banks to channel more funds into lending rather than keeping excess liquidity with the central bank. Other key monetary parameters were left unchanged, with cash ratio for commercial banks maintained at 45%, 16% for merchant bank, while CRR on non-TSA public sector deposits remain at 75%. The decision comes despite a slight moderation in Nigeria's headline inflation, which eased to 15.91% in June from 15.93% in May, according to the National Bureau of Statistics.
Available evidence suggests that the Nigerian economy has remained largely resilient to the external shocks, reflecting the gains from prior reforms implemented by the fiscal and monetary authorities. However, maintaining the current monetary policy stance will provide an opportunity to closely monitor incoming data and assess the trajectory of inflation to guide future policy decisions.
The MPC noted that persistent global uncertainties, particularly renewed tension in the Middle East and their impact on international oil prices, continue to pose risk to inflation and the country's economic outlook.
Even at its decision, the committee noted the recent resurgence of hostilities in the Middle East, with particular attention to its spillover effects on global energy prices and the potential pass-through to domestic inflation.
The central bank says it will continue to closely monitor domestic and global economic development, with future monetary policy decisions guided by inflation trends, exchange rate stability, and overall economic growth. Kikeloma Okere, Global TV News.
And of course, joining me right now is Kikeloma Okere to bring us to speed on the issues around the security matters and as well as the business issue there. Hello, Kike. It's good to have you join me on the reporter today. Okay, so while Kike is trying to join me, there are a lot of stories happening around the position of the police in terms of dealing with the issue around corruption, extortion, and abuse of office. And I hope Kike can speak to me on this issue. Hello, Kike, can you hear me now? To join me and speak to the issue. Let's go to take some reports around Benue, where there's a story that is actually very top-notch at this point in time. And of course, let's tell you that hundreds of amputees in Benue State are set to work again as the Benue State University Teaching Hospital through the Besot Cares Foundation begins the fitting and distribution of 330 prosthetic limbs valued at over 200 million naira. The intervention is expected to restore mobility, dignity, and renewed hope to beneficiaries. Our Benue State correspondent Felicity Ndere tells us more.
For many amputees, the loss of a limb has meant years of pain, limited movement, and financial hardship, with prosthetic devices remaining out of reach due to their high cost. Determined to change that narrative, the Benue State University Teaching Hospital, through the Bisut Cares Foundation, has commenced the fitting and distribution of 330 prosthetic limbs donated by the Ishuk Tolerant Foundation, bringing new hope to hundreds of beneficiaries.
They gave us hope when they told us to take our measurement. Today they are renewing the hope by giving us the prosthetic.
The coordinator, Office of the First Lady of Benue State, Scholastica Bensel, says the intervention demonstrates compassion in action and reflects the state's commitment to restoring dignity, confidence, and independency to persons living with disabilities.
A disabled community, it's already a backward one. But I'm not saying that their limitation is something that is able to limit them, because they have a brain, they can use it for a lot. But right now, we need more of human capital. And these are people that, if they have their hands, their feet, will achieve more in Benue State.
The Chief Medical Director of BSUT, Dr. Stephen Hwande, says the initiative underscores the hospital's commitment to inclusive and accessible health care, stressing that the facility remains dedicated to serving patients from Benue and across the country.
Now we're doing neurosurgery here, we're doing IVF here, we have molecular lab, we're treating infectious diseases. We have employed these prosthesis people, they will be doing these things here. So for me, if I get the right support from government and the people, then within a short time, these teachers will do anything anybody will do.
Administrative head of the Ishuk Tolerant Foundation, Alaka Jao Motoyosi, reaffirmed the foundation's commitment to expanding access to prosthetic care through strategic partnerships aimed at improving the lives of vulnerable Nigerians.
Here, we have come to give 330 people in Benue for this program, and the rough estimate for one is $150.
Overwhelmed with emotions, beneficiaries described the intervention as life-changing, saying it has given them a second chance to work and live independently.
I was very happy because it's too expensive. I will do the new one in Kano about 1.something million, but this one I got it free.
The intervention reinforced the impact of collaboration between government, healthcare institutions, and development partners in delivering life-changing medical support and improving the quality of life for persons living with disabilities. In Makurdi, Felicity Ndare reporting for Global Television News.
And joining me right now is Benue State correspondent Felicity Ndere to bring us up to speed. Hello, Felicity. It's good to have you join us on the Reporter today. Felicity, if you can unmute yourself so you can hear me and also can hear you as well. Can you hear me now? Hello, Felicity. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I've done that. I can hear you now. I can hear you.
So, how can governments and private organizations work together to make life-changing prosthetic care accessible to every amputee in Nigeria?
Well, the Benue State government has already pledged sustainable collaboration with the Bisut Cares Foundation and the Ishuk Tolerant Foundation to improve the lives of vulnerable citizens across the state. As you can see from the report, the Bisut Cares Foundation called for their measurements and now has commenced the fitting and distribution of 330 prosthetic limbs to amputees across Benue State, and reaffirming its commitment to restoring mobility, dignity, independency, and hope for persons with limb losses. Most of the beneficiaries were saying before now, they were afraid of their conditions when they had their accident. Some wish they would be dead, some were depressed, but with the state government calling for their measurements and giving them free prosthetic limbs, they are now assured their hope is alive, and they believe that with this they can live with dignity and walk freely again.
Should prosthetic limbs and rehabilitation services be included in Nigeria's basic healthcare coverage to support persons living with disabilities? Because this is a very good step by the state government there in Benue State.
Yes, actually, if this is added in the state budget or even at the federal level, it will be much appreciated because most people that are living with limb losses, some of them express how hope has been lost for them. You can see that due to the high cost of these prosthetics, the people cannot afford it. You see that one is measuring from 200 1 to 200, or sorry, 1 point something million. And at this range, most people cannot afford it, especially those people who are poor. They can actually not afford it. But as now that the government and some other NGOs have been coming on board to help them, they are assured there is much hope alive for them. So we believe that other bodies, non-governmental organizations, the government, people of goodwill, good meaning Nigerians, if they come together, that yes, we can help these people because these monies they are quite expensive. They cannot afford this, and even in the budget, if it is put on it, I believe that it will help the people, and everybody will be happy at the end of the day. Because as the First Lady, coordinator, Office of the First Lady, she said that a disabled community is actually a backward one. So there will be steps that will be done so that there will be steps taken so that moving forward, people living with disabilities will live comfortably and freely.
Let's appreciate your time with us because, of course, from what you said, if this thing goes in, the community will have that sanity and there'll be dignity and independence will be regained for the amputees with this kind of provision being given. Felicity for your time with us. It was amazing having you speak with us today. So let's turn our focus to Kano State, where the Kano State government has recruited an additional 8,588 teachers and education facilitators as part of efforts to strengthen basic education and improve learning outcomes across the state. The newly recruited personnel include 4,900 permanent and pensionable teachers as well as 3,688 better education service delivery for all cohorts V facilitators. Global TV's Idris Jibri tells us more.
The Sani Abacha Stadium was filled with excitement as thousands of successful applicants gathered to receive their appointment letters. The recruitment exercise marks another milestone in the Kano State government's ongoing education reforms aimed at addressing teacher shortages and improving the quality of teaching in public schools.
Let me say that every child deserves the opportunity to learn, to dream, and to fulfill their God-given potential. That opportunity begins in the classroom, and every classroom deserves a qualified, competent, and committed teacher. When research and managers of the good people of Kano State, we made it very, very clear to restore education to black children as the foundation of our developmental agenda.
Presenting the appointment letters, Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf described the exercise as an investment in the future of Kano's children, saying quality education remains the foundation for sustainable development. The governor stressed that beyond creating employment opportunities, the recruitment is designed to ensure that every child has access to qualified and committed teachers capable of nurturing their talent and aspirations. Governor Yusuf disclosed that since assuming office in May 2023, his administration has recruited more than 13,600 qualified teachers into basic and secondary schools. He added that the government has also supplied schools with instructional materials, trained teachers, provided free uniforms for pupils, and reopened 15 boarding schools as part of broader efforts to revive the education sector. Meanwhile, the Minister of Education, Ma'aruf Tunji Alausa, commended the Kano state government for prioritizing education and expressed satisfaction with the progress recorded over the past 3 years.
Today, we're also giving appointment letters. The government is giving appointment letters to almost 9,000 teachers and facilitators. Total by 15,000 teachers in 2 years, 20 years excellency. What the governor of Kano State is doing for us as the Federal Ministry of Education is giving us happiness.
Stakeholders believes that the recruitment of the additional teachers will help improve classroom instruction, reduce teacher shortages, and enhance access to quality basic education across Kano State. From Kano, Idris Jibrin, Global Television News.
And of course, I have Idris Jibril standing by to speak to us on how these developments will add significantly to the quality of education. Hello, Idris. It's good to have you join me on the reporter today.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Let's get to the recruitment process. Will this recruitment of over 8,500 new teachers significantly improve the quality of education and learning outcomes in Kano State from your perspective and coverage of the event?
Of course, that is the idea. You know, since the beginning of this administration, to prioritize education sector, and that is why in 2025, the government allocated 32% of its budget, which even exceeded the UNESCO benchmark of 26%. Over about 400 billion naira was allocated. Now, the idea is to have as many teachers as possible to man primary and basic secondary educations. And in those days, we don't have as much teachers as required across Kano State. Now, with this new over 8,000, close to 9,000 teachers recruited, there will be posts to various secondary school, primary and secondary schools across the state. So definitely the education sector will get a boost, and there will be more teachers to man those schools as against to what we have. In fact, that is what the governor is saying, and this is not the end of it. They will continue recruiting as many teachers as possible as we go along the line.
For teachers, but beyond hiring more teachers, what other urgent reforms should governments prioritize to transform public education in Nigeria? Because that's where we seem to have some challenges.
Of course, apart from manpower, talking about the teachers, there is the need of instructional materials, classrooms, and even renovation of schools. And in that, even the governor himself spoke during the presentation of appointment letters that so far he has provided instructional materials to virtually all primary and secondary schools across Kano State. And Mike, even yesterday after the presentation of the letters, the governor also went with the minister to commission girls' secondary school, a brand new girls' secondary school, which was constructed by the administration. So definitely there are areas that require improvement in terms of looking at the welfare of teachers themselves and the provision of instructional materials, which the governor says the administration is doing its best to ensure that they provide all those instructional materials. There are, however, schools that become so dilapidated. In most cases, children cannot study in those particular schools. And the governor acknowledged the fact that there are those schools within Kano State, and he has directed the Ministry of Education to find out and immediately start renovating those schools, especially now that we are facing rainy season. So areas that requires improvement, the government is assuring the people of Kano State that it's working hard to improve on those areas.
Yeah, thank you so much, Idris, for this update, and we look forward to seeing that infrastructural facility coming in to give the public's education the facelift that is needed, aside just the recruitment of teachers. Thank you so much for your time with us here on The Reporter.
Thank you.
Amazing. Let's go earlier to our report where the IGP of police was warning police officers about corruption, extortion, and abuse of office, as well as unlawful detention, where he said it's time for the police force to uphold professionalism and accountability. Of course, we have Kikelo Mokere standing there to give us more details and depth to this directive by the IGP. Hello, Kike. It's good to have you join us at the moment.
Hello, Anita. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to have you. Let's talk about this directive. Can the Nigerian police truly eliminate corruption, extortion, and abuse of office through stronger leadership and internal reforms?
Actually, this issue of corruption, it has been an issue that has been lingering for long. Eliminating corruption requires consistent accountability, swift disciplinary action, transparent recruitment, as well as promotion. But the most important of it is improved welfare and the deployment of technology to reduce human interference, as well as internal reform must be matched with zero tolerance culture where no officers is above the law.
You see it from that perspective. Now that we see it that way, and we're hoping it gets out right. With intelligence-driven policing that we've seen come into play now, and deeper community partnerships, will Nigeria feel safer, and that time has come for improved public trust in the police force?
Absolutely. Modern policing is driven by intelligence, not just force. When communities trust the police enough to share credible information, crime is prevented before it happens. Then there is need for stronger partnership with the traditional rulers, the community rulers, as well as the youth group and the civil society. This will help to transform security outcomes as well as boost the public trust through professionalism, respect of human rights, and consistent delivery of results.
Security issues. You still were there at the monetary policy meeting there as well. Let's talk about the inflation rates. With inflation still affecting household incomes, do you think keeping the interest rates at 26.5% will help stabilize the economy or further slow business growth in the country?
Actually, Annie, keeping the interest rates can help tame inflation, but thereby reducing spending and stabilizing the value of Naira. However, it also makes borrowing more expensive for businesses and limiting expansion as well as some investment and job creations. The challenges is for the policymaker is by striking the right balance between controlling inflation and the sustaining economic growth. And that is a stable economy means little businesses can grow and Nigerians cannot earn a decent living.
Kike, we look forward to seeing how this can play smooth for the economy and give the nation the face when it comes to inflation. Thank you so much for your time with us on the program, The Reporter. It was fantastic having the conversation with you. Well, it's been interesting here on The Reporter. Of course, like we always do, bring you in-depth analysis of the stories making the round across the different sector. And of course, that brings us to the size of the program, The Reporter. Thank you for watching. Here's a quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365, StarTimes channel 276, as well as on Free TV. To stay connected, kindly follow us across all socials by using @Global TV NG. I am Anieti Patrick. Thank you for watching.
Of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
to the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service that we must have to carry out the residents